My name is Mel Rollema, and I'm 62 years old. I went into service in 1970. I was drafted during the Vietnam era, and so fully expecting to go to Vietnam. Did my basic training in Fort Ord, California, which is in Northern California. We did six or 8 weeks there of basic training and got us in shape. And there's no doubt it was a good thing, I guess. And they teach you discipline. They're in your face and whatnot, and try to teach you responsibility. But I was a rebellious young man, and because I was drafted and I didn't want to go, and but nonetheless I was there. So graduated from basic, and then they sent me to Fort Bliss, Texas, to be my advanced infantry training. But also, as I was there, they put me in an air defense unit, which was called a Chaparral Missile System, and we trained there for 8 weeks also. And so when I left there, still fully expecting to no, I knew I was going to go to Germany because they told us that at the end of our basic that's where we would be headed once we get done with our advanced training. And so after the 8 weeks there, they sent us off to Germany. So this is probably, now we're looking at into 71, 1971. And going into Germany, they put me in a little base, which was in the middle of nowhere, a little town called Giebelstadt, which only had about 700 men on that base in the middle of a farm country. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And I'm glad I was there in hindsight. But let me tell you, I was anti-Americanism was so heavy and so strong during that time that I became bitter, and I became anti-American, and I became anti-war because of all the protests in Vietnam, and so and it was also a drug-crazed area. We had access to a lot of drugs there. LSD, hashish was the big thing, black tar, heroin, and I gotten caught up into that. And I say that to my shame now that I am where I'm at today. And also maybe to let you know, whoever sees this, I was not a Christian. I have a biblical worldview now, and I'm ashamed of what I had done and how I acted. But like I say, I was not a Christian, so I thought like an unchristian would, I guess. But anyway, in my time in Germany, had a lot of close friends. You become close because we're all thrown into the mess together, I guess. So you bond with some good people. But and again, sad to say, my time in Germany was spent smoking dope, probably 24/7. Every day of the week, we would stay stoned, and it fueled the anti-Americanism. And so, let me, for just a side note, having a draft, at least in modern America, does not work because it creates very much anti-Americanism. And I see that the armies today are very professional. There's men and women that want to be there, and I thank them for that. They want to do their job and be patriotic, and they should. But like I said, my time was there. I was bitter. I just didn't really want to do a lot of things. We just listened to rock and roll and smoke dope and try to get away with as much as we could, and we truly did. And the sentiment there was so bad that there was so much sabotage going on within American bases, ours included, where guys would go out in the middle of the night and blow up our own vehicles, try to put mothballs in the fuel tanks to break the engines. They put sugar in fuel tanks. They burned down barracks. It was an ugly time. It was chaos and anarchy almost within the military. And I saw a lot of good men that were career soldiers, like first sergeants and lieutenants, that totally were so befuddled with this anti-Americanism that they quit the service. They couldn't handle it anymore. And so that's what I was in. So every day we just had to basically maintain I was a tank driver on this chaparral that carried 4 missiles, and there were surface-to-air missiles that in case we went to war, mainly we were worried about Russia, and we would have to go out in an open field, and then it's a heat-seeking missile, so when a jet goes by, we would have to fire at them, and hopefully the heat-seeking missile would tail him in his exhaust and then take him down. But the equipment was so, I guess, maybe hurriedly put together. Half the time, when at practice, the missiles wouldn't come off the missile rails, and they'd just stand there and burn. So our whole philosophy was, if we ever had to go to war, we would park the tank in the middle of the field, and we would run and get away from them, because we knew it was like sitting ducks, and we would die, and we weren't going to do that. And so that was our philosophy. And a lot of times when we had mock war sirens go off in our company or in our base, there's times we actually would jump over the military fence, because we were in a forested area, and we would run so we wouldn't have to go on maneuvers, because sometimes they'd go on maneuvers for a week, and if you weren't there and they couldn't get you, you could say you were in town or something, and we did that quite often just to get out of the maneuvers. And but anyway, on a daily basis, we just had to maintain our tanks and fool around. It was so repetitious. I mean, if you don't run the tank every day, it doesn't break. So you just had to act like you were looking at it, and like I say, we just it was just kind of a waste of time, and we would have never been ready for a war in the mental state that most of us were in, and even the untraining we learned, we probably unlearned, and so, like I said, it was a shameful time for me anyway. And so I endured that, and then I spent a year in Germany, and then there was the program coming out of a soldier's time that they would send you back to the States and you would learn a trade. So I had 60 days left in the service, and they shipped me back to Fort Ord to learn a trade. I went to masonry school, I went to welding school, and but my head was screwed on so wrong, I just went just to get out of whatever, get off the base and do different things, because the classes were kind of in a remote place, kind of off the base. And so but they and I never did follow up any of those trades, but it was just time for me just to end my time. And so like I say, it was a fuzzy time for me. When I think back, there's so many things. I think I short-circuited my brain by being stoned so much that it's almost like a dream. It's almost nothing's really clear. And so, and like I just want to reaffirm, I'm ashamed of that. And but my time in the service was absolutely terrible. It was the longest period of my life, even though it was 2 years. I would mark off every day, and because I was bitter and I didn't want to be there. And so really that was the extent of my military service. And I was just discharged. I wasn't, I was pretty disciplined in a way, because I had good parents. I grew up with discipline. I was always had a work ethic. So I did progress in getting rank. I was an E4 when I supposedly discharged, and so, but when I saw my discharge papers, they had brought me down to an E3, which is a little less pay, but I didn't care. I didn't care what I was, as long as I was getting out, because I didn't want to even think about it. And so I was in an E3 as I discharged, and even going home when I was, I think I was in Frankfurt, Germany, getting ready to fly back to the States. No, I'm sorry. I was in the United States. I leave in San Francisco in Oakland Airport, and I had my uniform on, and so all the medals, what I had, marksmanship for shooting, and all the service badges I had, I gave them away to some little boy in the airport. I just didn't want them, and I didn't care, so I just gave them all away and tried to erase the memory of what I had done. And that's basically my story. And so, and again, it's just what it is, and I just want to be honest with you. But listen, I'm a patriot today. Maybe you can see this on my shirt. World War II was a great era. I mean, war is always bad, but hey, listen, we had patriotic people that would fight for their country, and it was not like in the 60s and 70s that brought in a whole new revolution in our culture with rock and roll and drugs. And because that's exactly what it is, and that's where I started as a young boy, starting to listen to rock and roll music, and I loved it. And at one time in my life, I thought, this is when I get married, I'm gonna have kids, and that's all we're gonna do is listen to rock and roll, and I'm gonna teach my kids rock and roll and smoke dope and have fun. But like I said, I became a Christian, and all that changed, and so here I am today. I'm in a church, and I'm serving the Lord, and trying to correct maybe some of the wrongs. But anyway, thanks for listening to me, and hope it's you guys can glean something out of this. Okay. Mm-hmm.